just like with the literal pictures, with the literal graphics, you want any formatting choices that you make, and hopefully every formatting thing you do will be a choice. You want it to be done with a purpose. My formatting choices, I'm talking about margins. I'm talking about font size. I'm talking about white space. I'm talking about, are we going to have headers, footers, page numbers, whatever. So let's do an example. We got a page. We've got a picture here. It's got a title. Got lots of words, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is a page out of her proposal. What kind of document genre are we using? Do we want to imagine that we're making our proposal in the form of a multi-page business letter or in the form of a big, long, not big, long, but formal, multi-section, has a cover letter, has a title page, that kind of thing, formal report? What do you want to imagine? Letter or report?
Letter.
Okay, let's imagine a letter. How many pages do you want to imagine our letter is? Okay, 5 pages. 5-page letter. Okay, let's imagine this is page 3. Just the third. First of all, what do we want to set these margins at? Got to have margins. Do we just use the default? That would be the equivalent of not thinking, which is usually not a good thing to do. What do we want to set them at? An inch?
Inch all around.
An inch all around? Okay, sure. And folks are like, we're not cracking the atom here. Okay, now, here though is the atom cracking question. Why? Why an inch? Imagine I'm a 5-year-old. You know how 5-year-olds are always like, why? Well, if you want to be a really good writer for workplace documents, for getting stuff done writing, a good trick is to imagine you're a 5-year-old and ask yourself, why? Why? Why that? Why that? Why that? Why that? And then answer. So why an inch? Why? Why an inch?
Standard.
Okay. 1 inch. There. Okay. It's familiar. That's a legitimate reason. Sure, it's familiar. Okay.
If they want to skim it, it's not.
Okay. So it's kind of appealing. So let's imagine that I've got 2 proposals to read. Because you got to start somewhere, right? Would you rather your proposal be the first one they read, the middle one they read, or the last one they read? Imagine they got a huge stack. What do you want yours to be?
Right in the middle.
You want it to be in the middle? Really? Sure.
The last one. By the last one, I'm tired of reading them. I think that's the one they want.
First or last? Okay, imagine that you are interviewing for a job.
Second.
Second? Is that someone just, why second?
I don't know. You don't want to be the last person.
You don't want to be the last? Yeah, I can tell you. I've done interviewing on campus. Don't want to be the last.
I also don't want to be the first.
You don't want to be right before lunch? You don't. You definitely don't want to be right after lunch. For interviewing, actually, if I had a choice between first and second, I'd take first, I think. But think about the social context. I got a pile. Check it out. This is my grading pile. You folks should be impressed that you get stuff back even through class periods. Okay. This is my, yeah. This is not my entire grading pile this weekend. It's almost done. But anyway, here's your stack of proposals. You want to be the last one that they read? Want to be the middle one? I'll go for first. I would actually like to be first, knowing, having gone through proposal evaluation at the other end of that. First or second, somewhere early, when the reviewer is still happy and is still reading. So let's make it look easy to deal with. Because if I have a choice in how I sorted this stack, I probably put the look like they'll be pretty quick to skim and knock out quickly up front. Because why wouldn't I start with that? So we have a choice between 1/4-inch margins or full-inch margins. Which one is probably going to be first in the stack? 1/4-inch margins with 8-point font? No, probably the more appealing margins. Because like you said, to get back to your original, well, it puts less information on the page, but it makes it look like it'll be easier to skim, right? Which is what you were getting to. Yeah, I think I would like to read that first, probably, if I have a choice. Here's something else to consider. Remember that proposals are almost always evaluated by groups. Usually what happens is that individuals look at them first on their own, and then they have a meeting with other people that have looked, hopefully, at the proposals individually too. And then everybody hashes out the okay, here's my top 3, here's your top 3, here's your top 3, and then it kind of goes from there. But it can be really helpful if you want your proposal to be defended in the meeting. It's really helpful if you invite whoever's looking at it first to make some notes. I mean, they're going to be evaluating this with a group of people eventually, so, which again gets back to interviewing tips. When you get to the interview, and your resume doesn't get you a job. What your resume does is it gets you an interview. It gets you in the room, right? So once you're in the room interviewing, has anybody had interviews? Yeah. Did the person that you were interviewing with take notes? What did they take notes on? Like, what were they writing on? Did you see?
My resume.
Right. So if your resume has, not an egregious amount of white space, so it's like, what's a resume with 3 lines? What the hell? But like your resume has full-inch margins, whereas yours has like 1/4-inch margins, just as a hypothetical, because like you want to put. I'm not going to be writing on yours nearly as much as I'm writing on yours, right? Which will help me to remember you after the interview. So the same thing for evaluating a proposal. Let's let the document, let the page breathe a little bit, give it some white space, and invite not only some readability, make it look easier to skim in the first place, but second of all, invite some notice so that our proposal is more likely to be remembered. It's be more memorable in your mind. But you see all that consideration connected back to, I don't know, what are we going to make the margins? See all these considerations? What are they used to seeing? What would be appealing? What would make them hopefully pick it up first or early? Second of all, what would help them take notes? Because let's do that too. That would probably be smart. So ask yourself, what do we want to help them do? What do we want to do for them? Either to save their time or to appeal to them or to, to think from their point of view. Well, let's do that. Font sizes, headings. Are we going to have subheadings? I don't know. Would that help them do something? If so, yeah. Are we going to have page numbers? Would it help them do something? Stay organized, perhaps? See how many pages are left, perhaps? See at a glance on the first page how many they're going to have to deal with? Are we going to have a heading Are we gonna have a footer? We gonna put anything up here or up here? If we do have page numbers, where are we gonna put them? We're gonna put them right here where the staple's gonna go? We're gonna put them where they maybe expect them to be? Well, maybe we put them somewhere else, and then that frees up space to like do some other stuff. Maybe we have a running header or a footer that helps them stay organized by showing very clearly, even if a page goes astray from the 5-page business letter, oh, this is page whatever of the Zortron proposal, and okay, let's get it back with that. Right. Are we gonna have any attachments? You know what I mean? Has anyone ever gotten a business letter that had like enclosures, basically like stuff attached to it? Have you ever gotten a letter like that? Yeah. What was the context?
It had schedules, it had example schedules, it had example completed projects.
Right.
Also-
And so that stuff wouldn't have gone in the body of the
No,
letter. Right.
it was attached like to the
Yeah, so it
section.
was like a 1-page, or let's say we have a 5-page business letter proposal. But we've got some stuff like, maybe we kind of blew up the schedule into a calendar. Like here's a monthly calendar that shows, well, if we shrunk that down to be just a little visual in the body of the letter, it might be impossible to actually use. And also maybe we tell them, hey, if you go with us, this gives you a calendar you can put on the wall and you can use it to like stay organized and you can use it to like, plan ahead. That's nice. But you wouldn't put that in the body of the letter. Instead, you would maybe reference it in the letter, talk about it in the letter and say, we attached it. So how are you going to label, like if it's a whole page that just kind of slaps on the back of the letter, how are you going to label that? What are you going to do so it stays organized? There would be a lot of formatting decisions to make about that. But the general idea is, even stuff that you don't normally think about for essay writing, like what are my margins going to be, those are important choices to make consciously in a practical, real-world writing situation. Because you want the entire document, not just the words, not just the purposeful visuals, pictures that you put in it, but the entire document to do things for the reader. Okay. Is that helpful? Maybe? You folks are a little bit more alive than my last class was. If you can imagine that. I guess you folks got breakfast, maybe. Well, I'll tell you what, that's all the theory for today. I mean, again, this isn't cracking the atom. What it is being mindful. It's having a different attitude about writing. It's approaching the writing situation, the writing task, with the attitude of a 5-year-old. Well, why? Why do that? Why do that? Why do that? Why do that? So that you can be making conscious decisions and be conscious of, oh, I'm doing that because insert thing that's useful for the user, for the reader, for the audience. Oh, I'm doing that because insert thing that's useful for the audience. Oh, I'm doing that because, so then everything that you're doing is a conscious choice focused on helping your reader do something or just straight up appealing to them. So let's take a break and then let's take like a good healthy 10-minute break and then we'll brainstorm some visual things. We'll practice brainstorming some visual possibilities that again would appeal to, would do something useful for, would be effective for a reader.